Hello, in this video we're going to be looking at Vnet-to-Vnet connectivity. We're first going to take a look at Resource Manager Vnets, and we're going to look at connecting to Resource Manager virtual networks. In the second section of this video we're going to look at connecting a Resource Manager virtual network to a classic mode virtual network. So the type of virtual network you've been using up until now through the classic portal or through the Service Manager APIs. Before we get to that, the Resource Manager Vnets. Now I've got two virtual networks, as you can see from down here. I've got Vnet-1 and Vnet-2, both Resource Manager virtual networks. Vnet-1 is using an address space of 172.16.0.0, and Vnet-2 is using 173.16.0.0. Now each of the Vnets has a subnet. Vnet-1 has 172.16.1.0/24 and Vnet-2 173.16.1.0/24, and I've already taken the liberty of deploying two virtual machines, one virtual machine to each subnet. If we take a look at one of those virtual machines, and we'll take a look at VM1. This is VM1. If I do an IP config, so you can see VM1's IP address there, 172.16.1.4. Let's take a look at VM2 IP config, IP address 173.16.1.4. And just so we're not fooling you, if I try a ping at the minute, if I try a ping from here 172.16.1.4, because these two machines are on different Vnets, they can't talk to each other, they can't ping each other. Well, I've already turned off the firewall, so the firewall won't get in the way of these pings. So, no connectivity at the minute. So let's go back to our portal, and we've got our two Vnets. And what I need to do is create gateways between the two Vnets. Now the gateways, think of them as highly available sets of machines that Microsoft are going to create and manage for us for this type of connectivity. I mean, not only Vnet-to-Vnet connectivity, but also site-to-site VPNs, express route connectivity, that type of thing. So if I go up to new here, and we'll just search for gateway. Now, in Azure today, there are lots of different types of gateways that can be created. Some provided by Microsoft, some provided by third parties. We're going to stick to the Microsoft gateways for this example. I'm going to choose a virtual network gateway from this list. Now again, we search for virtual network gateway, we have a whole heap of gateway options available to us. But again, it's the virtual network gateway that I want. It's going to provide my Vnet-to-Vnet connectivity. Say create. And we get standard sort of selection screen now, filling in properties for this gateway object. So the first thing we need to do is give it a name. So we'll call this RM Gateway 1. So Resource Manager Gateway 1. And this gateway is going to be a gateway for this virtual network, Vnet-1. Now, when I created that Vnet, I created a subnet for my virtual machine sconter. You also have to create a gateway subnet as well. This is literally a second subnet that you call gateway subnet, and you make sure it's got enough addresses for the gateway objects that Microsoft will deploy there. We'll show you the actual Vnet in a second, and we'll show you the gateway subnet. If you don't have a gateway subnet, you cannot select the Vnet. So we selected Vnet-1. The gateway will need a public IP address. Now if you've got available public IP addresses, you can select from this list. If not, we say create new. Give the IP address a name that will allow us to identify it later on, and it will go off and grab a public IP address for me and associate it with this gateway. Now, we'll chat about express route in later videos. For the type of connectivity that I want today, I'm going to create a VPN gateway. And there's two types of VPN gateway that I can create: route-based or policy-based. Now, policy-based gateways, think of them as like static routing gateways. With policy-based gateways, all traffic that enters the gateway will be sent to the same endpoint somewhere else. Now, I want this gateway object to connect to multiple endpoints, maybe even point site connections, so I'm going to create a route-based gateway. In fact, if I hover over the information icon there, you can see it clearly states that if I want to create point-to-site, site-to-site, Vnet-to-Vnet gateways, it's got to be the route-based gateway that I choose. So we'll leave that selected, and we'll choose a resource group. I'll select an existing resource group to store the gateway, and we'll say create. Now, creating a gateway object takes time. It's quite possible that creating this gateway object could take 20 minutes, 30 minutes longer if you're unlucky. So rather than us sitting and waiting for that to finish, what I'm going to do is pause the videos here, wait until the gateway is configured, and then we'll come back and finish off our configuration. Hi, welcome back. It's about 25 minutes since I stopped recording the video, and my gateway has created now. In fact, I've created two gateways, one gateway for each VNet. So in my resource group, I've got RM Gateway 1 and RM Gateway 2. They're not connected at the minute, but they're ready to be connected. Now, they couldn't have made this easier if they'd have tried, really. All the configuration can be done through the portal. There's no PowerShell needed for this. We'll start off with the Gateway 1 that we created. If I select Gateway 1, and we go to Gateway 1 and Connections, then through the Connections wizard, I can say Add. Now, give it this connection is going to be the connection between our two VNets. So we'll give it a nice name. So we'll say to RM Vnet 2. It's going to be a Vnet-to-Vnet connection, but you can select IPsec. So these same connection wizards are used for site-to-site VPNs as well as a Vnet-to-Vnet connection. The first virtual network gateway is Gateway 1, the gateway that we're on, and we choose a second gateway that I want to connect to. And that will be Gateway 2. Now, between these two gateways, we need a pre-shared key. So I'm going to input a pre-shared key to be used for authentication between these two gateways. And it's picked up my resource group, so I just say OK there. Now this is going to create a one-way connection for me. It's not immediately obvious when you create these connections, but they are just one way. So it's taken just a minute to create this. And what that means is that if I want traffic to flow, I'm going to have to create a second connection going in the opposite direction. So I've got my connection there to Resource Manager Vnet 2. If I just come out of here and go to New, I'll just show you another way to do this. If I just go to New and search for connections, or connection, there you got connection. And it brings up the results. I've got the connection, Microsoft connection object there, so I'll choose that. So we've got a connection to RM Vnet 2. So we'll say to RM Vnet, Vnet 1. And this time we'll just change the order. So before we chose the first virtual gateway was Gateway 1. This time the first one's going to be Gateway 2, and the second one is going to be gateway 1. So we just flip them around and provide the same pre-shared key. And we'll put it in the same resource group. So new gateway connection, Vnet to Vnet, gateway 2 to gateway 1, same pre-shared key as before, and we say create. So the connection object's one way. We need 2 connection objects created for us to connect our 2 gateways, and therefore the VNets that they're working with. Now, unlike the gateways that take 25-30 minutes to create, the connections should just take about 1 minute. So I've got this deployment started here. That should finish pretty quickly. So if I go back to my resource group, this RM resource group here is where I've been configuring all my stuff. So there's a lot going on in here now, but they're the 2 connections that we've got going on to Vnet 1, Vnet 2. If we look at the gateways now, so gateway 1 there, you should see both connections should appear. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong thing. That's the gateway IP address. Got to get proper naming convention for this. That's gateway IP. And that's the gateway object down there, gateway 1. And connections. What we're hoping for is that once both gateways have been created, the status should go from not connected to connected. So still creating that second gateway, so we just have to wait. So again, instead of us sitting and waiting for this connection to create, we might pause the videos again here. Once created, we'll come back and see results. And we're back for the final time in this video. As you can see, the connections both created and are now showing up as connected connections. That's pretty good. That should mean now that our 2 VNets are interconnected to each other. We can test this by going back to our virtual machines. So if I look at virtual machine 1, remember virtual machine 1 is on the first VNet. Its IP address 172.16.1.4. So if we ping 173.16.1.4, which is PC2, and there you go. So before we started this exercise, neither machine could ping each other. Now just again go the other way. Here we go, both PCs pinging. So we've got a Vnet to Vnet connection using Resource Manager Vnets, Resource Manager gateways and connections. I think what we're going to do is make this part 1 of a 2-part series. So in part 2 we'll take a look at adding a classic Vnet and a Vnet to Vnet connection from a classic Vnet to one of our Resource Manager Vnets. Now that video will be online within the next sort of, I'm looking at clocks now, within the next sort of 24 hours that video will be online, so probably by this time tomorrow. In essence, if you're looking at this video, if you're looking at this video on any date other than the date it was created, both videos should be there. Okay. With that, thank you very much, and again, if you've liked what you've seen here, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.